I've been trying to observe dry January, and that is really hard when you make cocktail videos. So I'm going to shake things up a little bit and make some videos where I just talk about cocktails. One of the things I'm frequently asked by friends and family is, how do you know all that stuff? That's my best friends and family impression. Well, I'm going to give you a little peek behind the curtain and share with you 5 of my favorite online resources for cocktail information. So stick around. If you're a theater fan who loves a great cocktail, click that subscribe button because Broadway Barfly is the channel for you. Hello folks, Rob Dreemeyer here. Welcome to Broadway Barfly. If you follow the channel, you know that I'm not a professional mixologist. I'm not a trained bartender in any way. And prior to this Broadway Barfly experiment, everything I knew about cocktails I learned by drinking them. And I mean, well, that should have made me an expert right there. But for the past couple years, I've done a lot of research. I've read interesting books. I watch YouTube videos here by my fellow content creators. I go to tastings. I've visited distilleries. And of course, I've spent hours and hours online doing research. And I realize that I keep coming back to some of the same websites over and over again. So I've chosen 5 of my favorites I want to share with you because if you don't already know about them, I think you should. The first website on my list is the IBA website, the International Bartenders Association. The IBA is a trade organization that was formed in Europe in the early 1950s, and round about 1960 they put together their official list of IBA cocktails. The original list had 50 cocktails, and today the list on their website features over 90. And the purpose of the list is to standardize or codify, that's the word they use on their website, to standardize the recipe and the proportions of classic cocktails. That way they can guarantee some quality and consistency across the board. Whenever I'm making a video that features a classic cocktail, I always look to see if it's on the IBA list. And if it is, I check out what their official proportions are. Now, because this is a European-based organization, they use milliliters as their unit of measure. So if you're using ounces as your unit of measure, as we do here in the US, or at least as I do, you do have to be a little bit careful with that translation. And so if you're making a cocktail that's only 3 ounces to begin with, a little bit of variance in that glass can make a big difference depending on what the ingredient is. So you have to be careful with that, but otherwise the IBA website is an indispensable resource. The second website on my list is liquor.com. It's kind of an obvious one, but I think it's a great website. They have a really good editorial and writing staff. I find their articles to be well researched and well written. And in addition to the recipes, they also publish articles about cocktail histories, which of course I find very interesting. And they also do features on tips and tricks, how to mix drinks and things like that. So you can go to liquor.com for all kinds of information. Because it's a US-based website, they do all of their recipes in ounces. So I often use it as a cross-reference. If I go look up a cocktail on the IBA website, I'll often come back and look it up on liquor.com as well to see how they translated those measurements. If the IBA website is a website I go to look up one particular thing like you would look up in an encyclopedia or dictionary, I find liquor.com is a website that I can just browse and browse and browse, and it fills my head with all sorts of ideas. Number 3 on the list is the Difford's Guide. Now, I actually talked about the Difford's Guide recently in the video where I made the aged honey daiquiri. If liquor.com is an online magazine, then I would consider the Difford's Guide an online database. They have hundreds, if not thousands, of cocktail recipes. And maybe the thing I like most about this website is that if you set up a profile, you can also set up your bar. And in this area of the website, you list all of the things that you have in your liquor cabinet, and the Difford's Guide will pull up all of the recipes of cocktails that you can make with the things that you have. And I think that's just really cool because even if you have an odd assortment of things, or maybe you don't have a whole lot of things on your shelf at the moment, the Difford's Guide will still come up with probably a dozen things that you can make with what you have, and I think that's really cool. Number 4 on my list is probably something you wouldn't expect, and it's a website called the Spruce Eats. It's actually a food website, but they have a pretty extensive cocktail section. And what I like so much about their cocktail section is that they feature drinks that are usually fruity and sweet or creamy and dessert-like, things that you wouldn't normally see featured on the more heavy-duty cocktail websites. And I happen to have a lot of people in my world who do enjoy a cocktail, but they don't want something that's really spirit forward. They just want something that tastes really good, that packs a punch. And so I think Spruce Eats has a lot of good ideas for those kinds of cocktails. The other thing I like about Spruce Eats is that they feature a lot of homemade liqueurs and syrups, and that's something I've done a fair amount of here on Broadway Barfly. Now, the one thing I'll say about their homemade liqueur recipes is that they tend to be very sweet, so I often find myself modifying them. But if I have an idea and I think, I wonder if I can make that homemade, I'll go and take a look at Spruce Eats to see if they've done it, because if they've done it, then I know I can do it, even if I end up modifying it. Okay, I really have saved the best for last, but before we get there, I'm just going to ask a favor. If you're enjoying the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you enjoy Broadway Barfly in general, please subscribe to the channel and click that little notification bell, because I would love to have you back here over and over and over and over again. Also, if you know of a resource you think I need to know about, please tell me in the comments below. Okay, I'm not lying, I did save the best for last. Number 5 really is my favorite. And so finally we get to number 5, and I'm not gonna lie, I made this whole video just so I could tell you about this website. That's how cool I think it is. It's the website of the EUVS, which is the Exposition Universelle des Vins et Spiritueux, which in spite of my very bad French, translates to the Universal Exposition of Wines and Spirits. Now that is a museum on the Vendôme island of France, and it looks like a really cool place. And tucked away on their website, they have a digital archive of vintage cocktail books. When I came across this, I think my computer lit up and sang to me. It was like I was just entering Shangri-La. I couldn't believe what I was finding. And of course they have things like the Waldorf Astoria cocktail book and the 1930 Savoy cocktail book, but those are child's play compared to what they have on this website. They have, well, a lot of books from France and Germany and things that, I would need a translator to read. But it's an extensive library of probably a couple hundred vintage cocktail books dating back as early as the 1700s up through the 1980s. And this is a rabbit hole that once you fall down, there's no coming back up. It's just such a treasure trove. And rest assured, if I am ever on Vendôme Island, you know I'm going to visit this museum. So there you have it, a list of 5 of my favorite online cocktail resources. Thank you for indulging me with this dry January experiment, and who knows, maybe this is a format I'll play around with, but have no fear, there will be more cocktails to come. Cheers. If you enjoyed the video, why not give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends? Feel free to leave your comments and click that subscribe button because there's a lot more Broadway Barfly to come.